Hello students, I am VLN Swarupini, lecturer in biochemistry from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Sciences, which is affiliated to Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. Now, I would like to discuss about second BSc Biochemistry 4th semester paper, that is intermediary metabolism. So from this paper we have already discussed unit 1 and 2, and we are seeing topics from the unit 3. And in the last class we have discussed about urea cycle. Now let's see how creatine is produced in our body. So we all know this creatine is very essential for the identification of kidney functioning. So kidney functioning is estimated by the creatine produced in our body. Okay, so let's see how this creatine is synthesized. So firstly, for this synthesis of creatine, it requires glycine, arginine and methionine. So these are the three important amino acids which are responsible for the creatine biosynthesis. And here, why we are discussing this creatine here means we are seeing about the metabolism of amino acids. So third unit we are discussing about the metabolism of amino acids, and here these amino acids, glycine, arginine and methionine, these three metabolize to form this creatine. So this creatine is synthesized with the help of amino acids, glycine, arginine and methionine. Okay, so this creatine is not only that means it is not only present in one tissue, it is present in all the tissues of our body, and it is a high energy compound. It is a high energy compound present in all the tissues. Okay, and along with this creatine, phosphocreatine is also present. So this creatine is present in tissues in the form of phosphocreatine and also sometimes as free creatine. That means sometimes it is seen in the form of free creatine, and in few cases it is present along with phosphate group, which we can call it as phosphocreatine, and it requires glycine, arginine and methionine for its formation. So here the first step of this creatine biosynthesis, it occurs in the kidney. It occurs in the kidney. So whatever the first step which is seen in this particular creatine biosynthesis, it occurs in kidneys. Okay, it occurs in kidneys. So here if you see the first reaction, arginine amino acid, arginine and glycine, they both are combined to form guanidoacetate. They are combined to form this guanidoacetate, and here the enzyme responsible for the formation of guanidoacetate from arginine and glycine are arginine glycine transaminase. So this is the enzyme which is converting arginine and glycine into guanidoacetate. What is that enzyme? Arginine glycine transaminase. So this particular arginine is combined to these two amino acids will be combined to form this guanidoacetate. So if you see the structures here, arginine, if you see the structure of arginine, it is NH2 double bond, C, NH2, NH, CH2 thrice, CH, NH3, COO minus, and glycine is NH3, CH2, COO minus. So these are the two amino acids. So they combine to form this guanidoacetate, that is NH2, C, NH2 double bond, that is CNH2 double bond NH2, NHCH2 COO minus. Okay, so here it contains two NH2 groups and and CH2COO minus, another carbon atom and NH group. So this is guanidoacetate. And where this particular step occurs? In the kidney. Okay, so here the first step reaction occurs in the kidney, and it involves the transfer of guanido group of arginitoglycine catalyzed by the enzyme arginine glycine transaminase, and here finally guanidoacetate will be produced. Okay, so next what happens is S-adenosyl methionine donates methyl group to this particular guanidoacetate, and then creatine will be produced. So here methionine, which is another amino acid essential for the creatine biosynthesis, this S-adenosyl methionine will help in the formation of creatine, and here the enzyme is guanidoacetate methyltransferase. This is the enzyme which converts guanidoacetate to creatine, and during this reaction methyl group is donated by the amino acid methionine. Okay, so this is the next step. So if you see the reactions here, creatine is developed in two simple reactions. By combination of arginine and glycine, guanidoacetate will be formed, and guanidoacetate is converted into creatine by the addition of methyl group, which is donated by the amino acid methionine. Okay, and here the second step occurs in liver. So first step, which is the formation of guanidoacetate, occurs in the kidneys, while formation of creatine is the second step, will be carried in the liver. Okay, so creatine is reversibly phosphorylated to phosphocreatine by creatine kinase. Okay, so here as I said earlier, creatine is present in all tissues, sometimes as a free creatine and sometimes as a phosphate creatine. So here this creatine is converted into phosphocreatine by phosphorylation, and this enzyme responsible for this phosphorylation of creatine is creatine kinase, and this is stored in muscle as high energy phosphate. Okay, so it is like as we have ATP as high energy compound, this is also kind of high energy compound, and we can also call it as high energy phosphate. Okay, so if you see the reaction here, creatine is phosphorylated by creatine kinase to form this creatine phosphate, and sometimes creatine is converted into creatinine and it is secreted through urine. Okay, so this is how creatine is biosynthesized in our body. So this is about creatine. So hope you understood well about this topic, and now we'll see about metabolism of amino acids. That means here we'll see individual metabolic reactions of each and every amino acids. So in our syllabus we'll have serine, glycine, aspartic acid, methionine, phenylalanine and leucine. So just if we see metabolic reactions of these amino acids, that will be enough, and by end of these topics we will be completing our third unit also. Okay, so now let's see the first amino acid, serine. So amino acid serine, it is a non-essential glycogenic amino acid. Okay, it is a glycogenic amino acid. So here amino acid serine is a non-essential glycogenic amino acid. So here glycogenic means it will form pyruvate. Pyruvate will be formed by the metabolism. Okay, so here the skeleton of this amino acid will be helpful in the formation of pyruvate. That's why this serine amino acid is called as glycogenic amino acid. So here metabolism means we study its biosynthesis and also its degradation. So here if we see about metabolism of any compound, it includes its biosynthesis, that means its production and also its degradation. So here we should see how this serine is biosynthesized and also how this serine will be degraded. Okay, so this serine, this is synthesized from the intermediates of glycolysis. Okay, so intermediates of glycolysis are helpful in the biosynthesis of this serine. So as we got the chance, what are the intermediates of glycolysis? Intermediates will be starting from glucose 6-phosphate to phosphoenol pyruvate. So between these two compounds, from this glucose 6-phosphate to phosphoenol pyruvate, all the compounds are regarded as the intermediates of glycolysis. Okay, and here glucose and also pyruvate, these two compounds are regarded as the intermediates. Why? Because glucose is the initiating compound and pyruvate is the end product. Okay, so whatever the compounds that are seen between these two compounds, we call them as intermediates. Okay, so these intermediates of glycolysis are helpful in the synthesis of serine, which is a important glycogenic amino acid. Okay, so in the previous class we have discussed reactions of amino acids. Okay, so here this serine participates in transamination reaction. By this transamination reaction, serine will produce pyruvate with the help of the enzyme serine dehydratase. Okay, so serine is converted into pyruvate with the help of the enzyme serine dehydratase. Okay, if you see the reaction here, one NH3 molecule is eliminated and COO minus C double bond O CH3 is produced, which we call it as pyruvate. And the reaction, type of reaction is transamination. Type of reaction is transamination. So this is the one of the important reaction that this particular serine will undergo. And the next reaction is the serine is involved in 1-carbon metabolism. 1-carbon metabolism, that means it donates its methylene moiety to tetrahydrofolate, which we call it as THF, and by this reaction glycine will be produced. That means here methyl moiety CH2 moiety is transferred to tetrahydrofolate. So if you see here, THF is converted into CH2THF by the enzyme serine hydroxymethyl transferase, and this is a PLP dependent enzyme. So as a result of this reaction, what happens? Glycine will be produced. Glycine will be produced. Okay. So if you see the reaction here, this is serine. CCOO minus HNH3 plus CH2OH. So here CH2 moiety is given to THF. So COO minus CH2 NH3 is produced, that is glycine. That is the second reaction. So the first reaction is formation of pyruvate by transamination reaction with the enzyme serine trihydratase, and the second reaction is formation of glycine by the action of enzyme serine hydroxymethyl transferase. Serine hydroxymethyl transferase. Okay. And the third reaction is decarboxylation reaction. So by decarboxylation of serine, ethanolamine will be produced. By decarboxylation, here ethanolamine will be produced. So on decarboxylation, serine forms ethanolamine, which is the precursor for choline synthesis. So choline is produced from this ethanolamine, and this is produced from the serine, which is a PLP dependent decarboxylase enzyme will be helpful in the conversion of this particular serine to ethanolamine. Okay, this is the third reaction. And the fourth reaction is serine is involved in the formation of selenosystine, which is a 21st amino acid. So this selenosystine is a 21st amino acid. So when we discussed about amino acids, we'll see around 20 amino acids. But apart from this 20 amino acids, there are n number of amino acids. But these 20 amino acids are majorly found in the protein structures. Okay. And this is the 21st amino acid. This is also present in proteins. What is it? It is a 21st amino acid, that is selenosystine. Okay. So here serine is helpful in the formation of selenosystine, which is a 21st amino acid. Which is a 21st amino acid. And serine directly participates in the synthesis of phospholipids, that is phosphatidylserine. Phosphatidylserine. And serine is involved in the synthesis of sphingomyelins and cephalins. Okay, so this serine participates in the synthesis of phospholipid phosphatidylserine, and also involves in the formation of sphingomyelins and cephalins. These are lipid compounds, sphingomyelins and cephalins, and also another compound called phosphatidylserine. This is also produced from serine. So these are the different compounds which are synthesized with the help of serine. So here, if you see all the reactions, single amino acid serine is responsible for different kinds of metabolic reactions in our body, and each and every reaction is helpful in the formation of wide variety of end products. Okay, so it is helpful in the formation of amino acid glycine, as you seen in the second reaction, and helpful in the formation of pyruvate and ethanolamine. At the same time, selenosystine, which is a 21st amino acid, and also phosphatidylserine, and also sphingomyelin and cephalins are also produced from this serine. So if you move to the next thing, it structure of proteins. In the structure of protein, the serine serves as a carrier of phosphate. So in the protein structure, serine is helpful in the phosphate carrier. It acts as phosphate carrier for the protein structures, and as a result of this, regulation of many enzyme activities will be controlled. That means by this serine acting as carrier of phosphate in structure of proteins, regulation of many enzyme activities will be carried. Okay, so this is the major reactions that we see regarding this serine. Okay, biosynthesis is carried by the intermediate products that are seen in the glycolysis. And coming to another metabolic pathways that is helpful in formation of wide variety of compounds like selenocysteine, sphingomyelin, cephalins, glycine, ethanolamine. So in this manner, serine will work in our body and will undergo these metabolic reactions. Okay, so this is about serine. Now let's see about another amino acid, that is phenylalanine. So this phenylalanine undergoes three important reactions. So this phenylalanine is converted to tyrosine. A single pathway is responsible for the degradation of both these amino acids, which occur mostly in liver. So phenylalanine and also tyrosine, these two undergo similar metabolic pathway, that is degradation is similar to both the amino acids. Okay, so this metabolic or degradation of phenylalanine or tyrosine occurs in liver. So here if you are seeing about the degradation of tyrosine, it is nothing but degradation of phenylalanine, and if you are seeing about degradation of phenylalanine, it is nothing but the degradation of tyrosine. So let's see the reactions here. Tyrosine first undergoes transamination to give p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, and this reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme tyrosine transaminase. So what happens in the first reaction? This tyrosine is converted into p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate by the enzyme tyrosine transaminase. So here this p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate hydrolysis is a copper containing enzyme. Okay, and it catalyzes oxidative decarboxylation as well as hydroxylation of the phenyl ring of p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. So whatever this p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate produced, its phenyl ring is hydroxylated by the enzyme p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate hydroxylase, which is a copper containing enzyme. Okay, and by the end of the reaction, that means by this particular p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate is hydroxylated. Whatever the phenyl ring is present in this p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, this is hydroxylation reaction is led for the formation of homogentisate. So if you see the reaction here, phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine by the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, and tyrosine is converted into p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, and this p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate is converted into homogentisate. Here what happens in this reaction? Phenyl ring will be hydroxylated. So see reactions once again. Phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine, and the enzyme is phenylalanine hydroxylase, and tyrosine is converted into p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate by the enzyme tyrosine transaminase. Okay, and here during this reaction alpha ketoglutarate is converted into glutarate. So here C double bond O, whatever the keto group is present, it is transferred to the tyrosine to form p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, and this p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate is converted into homogentisate by the enzyme p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate dioxygenase. So here during this reaction ascorbate is converted into dihydroascorbate, and during this reaction one water molecule, one carbon dioxide molecule will be released also. Okay, and next homogentisate is converted into 4-mallyl acetoacetate, 4-mallyl acetoacetate by the action of the enzyme homogentisate oxidase, which is a iron containing enzyme. So this 4-mallyl acetoacetate is converted into 4-fumaryl acetoacetate by the enzyme mallyl acetoacetate isomerase, and this 4-fumaryl acetoacetate is converted into fumarate and acetoacetate by the enzyme fumaryl acetoacetate, and fumarate will be converted into TCA cycle and glucose metabolism, and acetoacetate will enter the fat metabolism. So this is the reactions that are commonly seen in the degradation of this particular phenylalanine and also tyrosine. Okay, so what happened here? Firstly, phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine, and tyrosine is converted into p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, and this p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate is converted into homogentisate, and homogentisate is converted into 4-mallyl acetoacetate, and this mallyl acetoacetate is converted into fumaryl acetoacetate, and 4-fumaryl acetoacetate is converted into fumarate and acetoacetate. Fumarate will enter glycolytic pathways like TCA cycle and glycolysis, and whatever the acetoacetate is produced, it will be converted into fat metabolism. That means it will enter the fat metabolic pathway. Okay, we all know this acetoacetate is a important ketone body. Okay, so this is about phenylalanine metabolism. So whatever the metabolic pathways we have discussed, serine and phenylalanine. Serine is a simple thing, will have simple reactions, but coming to this phenylalanine, it is again with little complicated structures. So once again let's see this phenylalanine metabolism. So, phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine. A single pathway is responsible for both degradation of these both amino acids, that is phenylalanine and tyrosine, and this reaction occurs in liver. Tyrosine first undergoes transamination to give p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, and the reaction is catalyzed by tyrosine transaminase. And next, p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate hydrolase is the enzyme which will convert this p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate to homogentisate. Okay, Here oxidative decarboxylation and hydroxylation, both the reactions will be carried. And hydroxylation is mostly meant for the phenyl ring which is present in the p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. Okay, now we have got homogentisate, and here the enzyme homogentisate oxidase, it will cleave the benzene ring of homogentisate to form 4-methyl acetoacetate, and here molecular oxygen is required for the reaction to break the aromatic ring. So whatever the aromatic ring is present in the homogentisate, it should be cleaved. For that cleavage, here molecular oxygen, that is nothing but O2, is required. And now this methyl acetoacetate, it undergoes isomerization to form 4-fumarate acetoacetate, and the reaction is catalyzed by methyl acetoacetate isomerase. Methyl acetoacetate isomerase, and fumaryl acetoacetate brings about the hydrolysis of fumaryl acetoacetate to liberate fumarate and acetoacetate, which is the ketone body. So here fumarate is an intermediate of citric acid cycle and also serve as precursor for gluconeogenesis. Okay, and this acetoacetate is a ketone body from which fat can be synthesized, and phenylalanine and tyrosine are therefore both glycogenic and ketogenic. Okay, so they form pyruvate, and also sometimes they also form this lipid based, fat based end products. That's why both glycogenic and ketogenic in nature. This is about the 2 amino acids, serine and also this particular phenylalanine. In the next class, we will see about the remaining amino acids, that is methionine, cysteine and also aspartic acid, glycine. Okay, so in the next class we will see about these amino acids, and we'll end this unit. Okay, so if you have any doubts, please contact me. Please practice the structures for many times, because as all the classes are in online mode, it is not possible to it is not so easy to get all the data at once. So practice these structures for many times, then it will be easy when you it will be easy for you to write in the examinations. Okay, so thank you students. If you have any doubts, please contact me, and please write the notes. Don't skip writing the notes. Why? Because these structures will be recorded in your brain while you are writing the notes. Okay, thank you students.